Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach, and today just a bit of a quick video, just going to discuss the 2 steps and the 2 foolproof rules you should be looking at when picking your squad in 2016. Now they're pretty simple, and the reason I'm talking about this because I see a lot of teams that have players in them that aren't necessarily bad picks, I see where they're coming from in their selection, but they're not trade efficient picks. I've got a few examples for you at the end of the video that I'll discuss and put them into a real example for you. But these are the main things I look for when picking players. Step 1, you're scrolling through those top end price players. You're thinking, are these guys going to be in the top 8 to 12 scoring players by average come season's end? You can check out all my other videos where I look at the defence, midfield, rucks and forwards, and the guidelines I look for there. But as a rough guide, you want to be looking at the top 10. You want to pick the top 10 averages for the whole season in each division. That'll give you an absolutely brilliant team if you can manage that. So it's quite simple. Are they going to be a top 10 scorer? If they're not, keep scrolling, mate. Keep scrolling. There's no point picking a guy if you think he's at 480 and you think he's going to be, he's not bad, he might average 94. I like him though, I'll pick him. Not at all. If he's not going to be in top 10, keep scrolling. And that brings me to step 2. So you're scrolling, you're getting to sort of that 400 mark, that 350. This is the main one, really. I mean, it is the main one, I feel. You go, gee, is this guy going to make me money? Okay, what is making money? I feel if you're not picking a premium, you're picking a guy to make cash. That's the 2 things. You're not picking a guy because you like him. You're not going to pick him because he's going to make a little bit of coin and he'll score okay points. You're either picking him to be cheap and make you bulk cash, or you're picking him at a real price to make you bulk points. It's pretty simple. I'm not a massive fan on the mid-pricer, except for a couple of reasons I'll get into. So you really have to think about how much money. And what is money? 200k I feel is what you should be really looking at. Because I feel when you pick a player at that bargain basement around that 120 rookie price, I think if they can exceed 300k, that's a pretty good pick and a pretty good goal. So what's that? About 170 really. But if you can get beyond that 300,000, that's going to be a massively good base to eventually downgrade to another 120 player and then upgrade another player. Hopefully, if you pick 2 rookie players at 123, they both get to 320, so they both make 200k. Downgrade, get 200k there. Upgrade to one who's about 520, 530. So just a midfielder that's just dropped a bit and ready to pounce on. That's the absolute blueprint of what you want to do. I'll give you a few examples, and just before I do, the initial point on picking the premiums, are they going to score you bulk points? Really think about, are they going to be top 10 absolute scorers? So really think about it and look at other players. If you've selected a few others, you're bypassing a couple because you want to pick them up in the season. You've got 4 premiums there, you've got 4 guys you want to pick up, and you've got this other bloke. It's like, why are you picking him really if by the end game plan he's not really in your team? Because that's what it's about, trade efficiency. You've got 30 trades, you really want to utilise them to their best potential. I'll give you a few examples. I've seen a bit of discussion about Bryce Gibbs. Now he's priced at 444k, and I see the point behind him. He's averaged high before, he's averaged well, but he's only a midfielder. I think his highest average is about 107, but most part he's been sort of around that 100 mark, 102, 103, and it's just not good enough. So let's go by the theory. You pick Bryce Gibbs, 444k. Is he going to rise to 630? Absolutely not. So you're not picking him for his value. Is Bryce Gibbs going to be a top 10 defender? In the midfield, I don't mind going top 12 because you got to pick 8 premiums come season's end. Is he going to be a top 12 mid? Absolutely not. No chance. He's just not going to be. So don't pick him. David Zaharakis. This one's probably a little more relevant. I've seen a lot of people just going, boom, lock him in. He's going to be Essendon's number 1 player in the midfield along with Goddard, training the house down, taking on leadership, lock this man in. I don't think so at all. He's at 414k. Let's go again. Is he going to make it 200? Is he going to get to 600,000? Surely not. Absolutely not. Is he going to be a top 12 mid? What can I see him averaging? I do think he's got a serious amount of potential. 100 to 105. I'd probably put him and Gibbs in the same sort of scoring potential category. That's potential. I'm not saying they will. And bear in mind, I think those guys probably come from one of them will be in the wooden spoon team and the other one won't be far off. So always be wary in picking sides that are really going to struggle for your premiums unless you're Gary Ablett. As a general rule, it often helps, especially that far down. Essendon and Carlton look to be really struggling this season. And look, another pick, and a few people may disagree with me on this, is Zach Williams by the Giants there. I've read a few things and I like what I read. I think he's got plenty of talent, heaps of potential. I know his numbers. I know he looks good. I think I have talked about him in the past. But you got to run through, and this is where you got to be cruel. You got to be absolutely to the point, very cruel about your selections. He offers a little value. He offers a little bit of points. Does he offer enough in each? So look, he's priced $375. That's not too bad. But is he going to make you that 200k? And I keep talking about this 200k, and you're probably going, Shorty, stop being so greedy. You're picking him. He's probably going to average nice numbers. But that's what I say. That's the trap where people fall into. Are you going to keep Zach Williams for the whole season? I don't think so. The reason being, let's travel down to round 20. It's round 20. Everyone's got finalised teams. By that stage, that is when you want to be having top 10 to 12 players in each position. Reason being, Zach Williams may be a great pick for round 8, for sure. He may be really good, offers great value, his price goes up to $450, he's averaging 90 odd, that's really good. But eventually you're going to have to burn a trade. So I often mount the argument, why add $375k when you can maybe get a guy around 120, 160 who's going to make you 200k? Because if you're not keeping Zach Williams for the whole season, you may as well downgrade him to someone lower. That's my whole point. Where the grey area is probably around that 300 to 350 mark. Because look, I understand the thinking behind the mid-pricer. If you're not aware of the thinking behind it, it's you pick a guy around that 300k, he makes some decent money, he's not an absolute keeper, but he gets you some great early points. He's averaging 95 in the first 10 rounds. You've got a bloke averaging 95 for a great price tag. He rises up to, say, 520, 530, and you save a trade there because you don't have to double trade to get him. I don't mind that theory. I understand where you're coming from, but you really have to be careful, and that's why Gibbs and Zaharakis, they're exceeding that. They're 400 plus. Don't go near it. Zach Williams, even he, especially in defenders, 375 is not that far off your premium when you're talking about defenders. So I personally wouldn't go near it. So be careful when we're talking about Crouch, O'Meara, Liberatore. Lock them in. Lock it in for sure, because their potential to score premium numbers is through the roof. Plus, worst case scenario, I see them making 200k. No doubt about it. Unless they have a really poor round here and there. But I think you can afford to take that risk. At the end of the day, it's all about risk versus reward. So just think about it. When you're running through your team, and you go through your team right now. Go through your starters. I mean, you don't have to worry about the bench because they're all cheap, but go through your starters. Go, look, seriously, are they going to be top 10? You started the defenders. Are they going to be top 8 to 10? Midfielders, 10 to 12? Are they really? Is he actually going to outscore Ablett, Rockcliffe, Pendlebury, Selwood, Dangerfield, Wines, etc.? There's plenty of players. I would have missed Stacks because that's the thing. There's heaps of midfielders in there. Pritis, Treloar, Prestia. The list goes on. The list goes on. So you have to be careful. You have to be really thorough. He may be a top 20 mid. That's pretty nice, but you can go better. Be trade efficient. Look through your team right now. Ask you the question, are they going to be top mids, backs, forwards, rucks, whatever it may be? Or are they going to make you 200k? So, look, let me know. I think it's a foolproof system. I think it leaves out those players that are just time wasters and, list cloggers if we're talking AFL terms. So I'd really like to hear your thoughts on that. I mean, it's a system I go with, and I think it takes out a lot of the real thought process and it keeps it simple. It really does. I think it narrows down the focus, and sometimes you may be having an exception to the rule, but for the most part, I think it's a foolproof way to go through it, and I think it's a great blueprint to really get as many premiums early in the season as you can and utilise that rookies and premium sort of strategy. So definitely look into that. Give me your thoughts on it. Give the video a like if you think I'm talking some sense. If I'm not talking sense, let me know as well. Definitely want to hear from you there as well. And above all, give the channel a subscribe, because that's the most important thing. I've been getting a few subscribers later and it's been really good to see. I'll be doing plenty of content for sure, so let me know your thoughts, give the channel a subscribe, and I'll chat to you guys soon.